Hi, I'm Isha Thorpe. Welcome back to the Bronx Journal. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Resources, 1 out of every 5 households in the United States has a child with a learning disability. Today we're going to learn about the struggles faced by these families from Richard Scotti, the Principal Director of BOLD, the Bronx Organization for the Learning Disabled. Mr. Scotti, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, what exactly is BOLD and what is its mission?
BOLD is a preschool for students with developmental delays, ages 3 to 5. Those students are identified by the local school districts of the Department of Education in the Bronx, and they are given an IEP, and they're referred to us for an evaluation, and then we decide whether or not we will accept them or not.
Okay, so about how many students come in and enroll in the program every year?
Right now, BOLD has 5 classes. We have about 56 students. We do have the ability, though, to expand 2 more classes, which we hope to expand to 7 classes by September. We're waiting for approval. The process goes through, you need approval from the city and then the state, but our classes are up and ready to go.
And how can parents who have kids who have special needs go about enrolling their kids in the program?
Parents have to contact their local CPSEs, which is the Committee on Preschool Special Education, and it's their local school district in the Bronx. They contact the child, is sent in for an evaluation, and then the child is classified in either an 812 class, a 1012 class, or a 1212 class. And then they are sent out, the packets are sent out to us, the referral packets, and we'll call families and parents in for an interview.
And what are the different special needs that the students have?
Most of the students have delays in 1 or more areas, speech and language, sensory integration, fine and gross motor skills, cognitive delays, and social emotional delays also.
And what are the ages, like the specific demographics?
Age group is 3 to 5. The children at 5, we call it turning 5, which at that point we go back to the local school district and there's a review, and hopefully our goal is to get the child to be into a mainstream kindergarten.
And I know that special needs can affect the academic lives of people, but how can they also affect the personal?
For the child and parent, it's like anything else. If school is not a good experience, if a child, no matter what age, has difficulty in the classroom, they're not going to enjoy the experience. It's going to affect them. It's going to affect them personally. It's going to affect them socially with their self-esteem, their ability to get along with peers. So it all ties together, the social, emotional, and the academics.
And after age 5, would their learning disabilities, do you think you would help them improve?
The goal is, yes, to remediate the delays and to get them into a mainstream kindergarten or the least restrictive environment. The goal of special education is that every child is in the least restrictive environment. Special ed is not meant to be a lifelong sentence. For each child it's different, but the goal is always to get the child mainstream back.
And what are the key differences of teaching a child with special needs versus a teenager?
A preschool versus teenager?
Yeah, are there any differences?
Well, there'll be a big difference if that teenager has not had services at an early age. And it's like anything else, you try and remediate difficulties at a younger age, because if you do not, as that prolongs in the child's school career, now you have a teenager, 15, 16 years of age, and emotionally and academically they may be 5, 6 grades below that. So that's the goal of the special ed preschool, is to remediate the difficulties at a real early age when it's easier to do. It's like anything else, you know, you get into a habit, and if it's not if it's not remediated, the older you get, the more difficult it is to change that. So if you have a teenager at that point who has not had any services, it's very, very, very difficult.
And about how long do you think it takes for you to see improvements in a child's behavior or in their academics?
For a child that we have from the ages of 3 to 5, we do quarterly updates, annual reviews, and again, depending on the child, the change is in small increments at sometimes, and that's what you have to look at. Each child is different. The learning curve for each child is different, so you can't just make a general expectation for all kids. Some kids will move very quickly. Other kids will move very slowly, but as long as it's progress, and that's part of the part that we try and talk to parents about, that not to put too much pressure on themselves, put too much pressure on the child, as far as where they should be at that point. Each child is where they are at that point, and we deal with it.
And what's the success rate at Bold?
I have been at Bold since September, so I'm brand new.
Okay.
I'm a brand new administrator.
What are the warning signs that a child might have a learning disability?
Usually a lot of it is behavioral, okay, and it'll manifest itself in that if a child has difficulty reading, he'll act out, sensory integration, fine and gross motor skills. All that are areas that a parent should be looking at, and then the child would have to be evaluated.
And how do you help the parents deal with their kids with special disabilities, and how do they aid you?
Parents, for me, my philosophy, and I've been in this field for 12 years as a school psychologist, assistant principal, and principal. Parent involvement is critical. It's not only my philosophy and in Bold's philosophy. To have an interactive arrangement with parents is so important, because the parents know their child better than anyone. And I always stress that to the parents, that we cannot do our job without their help. Plus, we have parent workshops, we have parent training sessions where they'll come in, and what we'll try and do is teach the parents to carry over what is being done in the classroom. And it also helps to minimize the parents' frustration level.
Mm-hmm. And what actually causes kids to develop special needs?
There are many factors. Could be neurological. There could be many different areas. So.
What are the misconceptions about kids who have a learning disability?
Oh, is that they're different. I mean, that's what we try and do, is dispel the myths about special education. I come from an era where there was no special education, and kids did not receive services. And you saw, as they got older, they had difficulties functioning, whether in school, whether socially. So, there's a big misconception that, these children are different. They just have to learn differently, or they need smaller numbers to learn. Sometimes every child can't be thrown in a class with 30 kids.
Mm-hmm. And have you ever seen a child at Bold that had low self-esteem because of their disability? And if so, what did you do to help them gain their confidence back?
At that age, my experience prior to Bold was with school-age children, but basically it's the same philosophy. If a child has a good experience, their first experience is a good experience, it will carry over into their school age, because so we try and make it where every child coming in there has a good experience. School is fun, because if school's not fun at an early age, it's not gonna carry over. So we make that experience for those kids. It's their first time away from home. It's their first time out of their house. The teachers and everyone at Bold are sometimes the first people that they've ever dealt with outside their family. Mm-hmm. So it's real important that they have a good, happy experience in addition to learning.
Yeah. And what does BOLD look for when they're looking to hire a new employee? Like, what exactly is the special trait that a potential employee needs to have in order to work at the unique company like BOLD?
In addition to the obvious certifications that teachers need, which we won't go into, my first thing, I always ask people, do you like kids? I mean, because if you don't like being around kids, working in a school is going to be a very, very difficult environment for you. So that's first and foremost. 2, you need patience. And 3, you have to have a sense of wanting to give back, that you do feel this is an important mission, that we are giving back to a younger generation that eventually is going to go on, and hopefully they'll give back.
And what can schools in the Bronx and in the U.S. in general do to better the learning environments of kids with learning disabilities? What mistakes do you see constantly being made?
Well, one, funding is a big issue. If you just want to talk about the economics of it, there needs to be there needs to be more funding, and there needs to be a greater emphasis on this all around. There really does. I think there needs to be more information for parents. I think parents need access to different agencies. A lot of times the parents are very frustrated when they come to us because they're given the runaround at all different levels. So I think that there needs to be a greater awareness that this is a real important mission. These children are our future any way you look at it. I mean, and they're the next generation.
Okay. And how can residents of the Bronx contribute if they want to help the program?
Sure. Please, you can call us. Could I give our number? Okay.
Yeah.
718-430-0981, and my number is extension 104. We're at 2885 St. Teresa Avenue in the Bronx. Feel free to stop in
And your website?
and see.
Your website?
And we don't have a website yet as of that. It will be up, though. We will have one. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. I really appreciated you coming and teaching us about BOLD.
Okay.
Thanks for being here.
And thank you for inviting me, giving me this opportunity.
No problem. We'll be right back with more of the Bronx Journal TV.